Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is a Heel Heat Top 10. Now the subject of this Top 10 is Top 10 Threats to the Streak. Now we all know what streak I'm talking about. The Undertaker Wrestlemania streak, which seemingly is going on in perpetuity since we've been alive. I believe he's 22-0, 21-0. I might be off by one, but let's go right into our list. Number 10, Dean Ambrose. I think Ambrose would be a lot higher on my list personally if I didn't see him moving into other feuds, and he's not the quintessential opponent for The Undertaker. His style is more of a kind of a Roddy Piper style, kind of doesn't mesh too well with The Undertaker. I could easily see him being the top heel in the WWE for the next few years. I just don't see him and his style meshing well with The Undertaker. Now, a perfect example of someone I would have said about 10 years ago the same thing would be CM Punk. So who knows, maybe it would be a great match. I just don't see it personally. I don't think the WWE would use that match, and I think it's just, like I said, I just think stylistically it would be a weird match. Now next up, our number 9 is everybody, seemingly a lot of fans' dream match, and that's Sting. Now I don't see this happening at all. I don't see, even if they do have a match at WrestleMania, Sting winning it, but there's a lot of people that want to see this match, and I wouldn't put it past someone like The Undertaker, who we know respects Sting, going ahead and giving him the nod, giving Sting his one great WWE moment. We all know The Undertaker's first ballot Hall of Famer whenever he feels like going into the Hall of Fame, as is Sting, but I could see Undertaker being a guy that says, okay, we'll give you that one moment in the WWE that we can put on your highlight reel forever. Now our number 8 guy is Brock Lesnar. Much like the guys before him, he has some issues with being higher on the list. If Brock Lesnar was there 52 weeks a year, wrestled on every Monday Nitro, or at least showed up for every Monday Nitro, didn't have limited appearances, I think he might be all the way up at number 1. If Brock Lesnar would have never left way back when he did, to go do NFL and UFC and everything else he did, I think we'd have a different story now. I think Lesnar would already beat the streak. He's a guy that absolutely positively should be the top man in wrestling. However, it's all on him. It's in his side of the ball. They want him to be. I guarantee you, if you gave Vince McMahon true serum and you said, if Brock Lesnar could work full-time for you, would you want him? He would say 100%, yes, I would. And he would push him to the moon, just like he did for the 2 years he was there initially. Brock Lesnar was being groomed to be the next, basically his moniker, the next big thing, the next Andre the Giant, the next Stone Cold Steve Austin, the next Hulk Hogan. But he decided to leave, go elsewhere. When he decided to come back, he decided to do so working a very limited schedule. I think he has 12, 13 appearances a year. Unfortunately, I don't see the Undertaker streak going to somebody that's so limited, someone that they can't market it off of. And that's where I think the reason for Lesnar being so low on this list is that it wouldn't help Lesnar to be someone to beat the streak. And it wouldn't help the WWE either. Now our next guy, number 7, is someone that would help immensely, and I think it would help the WWE immensely in the long run as well. And that's Big E, formerly Big E Langston. Up-and-coming powerhouse wrestler, a guy I think has a ton of potential, has a ton of charisma, one of the guys I think we're going to see for the next 5-10 years be one of the faces of the company, be one of the guys that we will see in WrestleMania main events, will see in SummerSlam main events. I think he's absolutely one of those talents. He does remind me a lot of Brock Lesnar and Brock Lesnar's first run. He's a guy that's ripping up the card very quickly at a pace that a lot of people didn't expect. And I think he's very marketable. I think he's very much someone the fans can get behind, someone that we like to cheer for. I think this is easily someone that can beat The Undertaker and use that to platform him from being a good wrestler and going into the stratosphere to being one of the all-time greats. Now our number 6 guy is along the same lines as Big E, and that's Cesaro, formerly Antonio Cesaro. Both of them just had recently had their name shortened. Cesaro, I believe, could be that guy. Whether you keep him heel and he wins it as a heel, I think he's a guy that the people in the back have a lot of faith in. He's a tremendous talent. He has a tremendous style that's unlike pretty much anybody else's in the world. He's a throwback and a new school all meshed into one. He does moves that we would have seen from Vern Gagne or Carl Gotch or Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, and then he mixes them in with the moves that we see from guys like John Cena, Roman Reigns. He's almost a perfect blend of the history of wrestling in one wrestler. And he's got the charisma, he's got the it factor. He could easily be the guy that does it. And I think maybe they're not too far along this year. They haven't announced who Undertaker is wrestling this year to make it Cesaro. I think maybe this will be something a year, 2 years down the road we'd be talking about if they decide that Cesaro is going to be that guy. Now, number 5 guy is a guy that I think stylistically, storyline-wise, would be an absolute perfect fit for the guy that beats the streak, and that is Bray Wyatt. First, you have the Wyatt family that can help him to do so. Secondly, puts The Undertaker in a storyline that we're familiar with. The Undertaker always revolves around these occult storylines, these otherworldly, demonically possessed. All this weird fringe storylines The Undertaker's been involved in since he's been around. And Bray Wyatt, being a cult leader, could be someone that takes on The Undertaker as wanting him to, much like he did with Daniel Bryan, wanting him to join him, and it just turns into this feud that Bray Wyatt and Undertaker wrestle. I could see it easily happen. The only reason it's fallen this low, because I think Bray Wyatt at this point would be a perfect opponent for The Undertaker, is I could see Bray Wyatt as a perfect opponent for The Undertaker. I don't know that they're ready to give Bray Wyatt that win over The Undertaker. Now, our number 4 guy is a guy that I'm pretty sure they'd be okay with letting beat The Undertaker, and that's John Cena. Now, the reason I put John up so high is because there's a tendency in the history of the WWE for Vince McMahon to take one generation star and then up him and make the next generation star a little bit bigger. We look at Bruno Sammartino, one of the greats of all time. Then the next generation star, Hulk Hogan. He gave Hulk Hogan, he couldn't give him as long of title runs as he did Bruno, so he gave him more title runs than Bruno. Then we go to Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Both of them end up having more title runs than Hogan. Then we come to our Triple H's, our Stone Colds. Again, more title runs. Then we come to John Cena, who we all know at this point, it's just a matter of time before John Cena tops Ric Flair's record for most world title runs. It's inevitable. The thing that can also put him head and shoulders above those guys is he could be the guy that beat The Undertaker. Now, I know it's not a popular thing with a lot of fans that if they went that route. But I can fully understand why they would want to do it, marketing-wise, John Cena-wise. When you go into the history books, you see a guy that's done absolutely everything, and he's done everything right for the company. Why not give him that final rub? Now, our number 3 guy is a dark horse in this. And the reason I think he's a dark horse, it's not because of us fans. It's not because of The Undertaker. It's because of the people in the back. And that's Daniel Bryan. I think the fans would be behind it. I think the wrestlers in the back would be behind it. I think, much like I said with a lot of these guys, this would take Daniel Bryan, who's fast. It's not even a question he's the most popular wrestler in the world right now, and has been for quite a while. It would take him from the stratosphere of being the most popular wrestler in the world right now to one of the most popular wrestlers in the world ever. And it would be something that would be a good consolation prize for those of us that want to see Daniel Bryan main event WrestleMania against and win the world title at WrestleMania. That may not happen, but Daniel Bryan versus The Undertaker and beating a streak could be argued, and I think personally it would be 10 times as important for Daniel Bryan to beat the streak than Daniel Bryan winning the championship. There's only one streak. There's dozens of champions. So, I think this would be a way that they could placate the wrestling fans, hold them off for a few more months for a Daniel Bryan world title run, and make this guy take his skyrocketing, his rocket's gone to the moon. They could take it and shoot it all the way to Pluto with a match like this and a win like that. It would be the greatest win in the history of professional wrestling. It would be something they could put up there when they talk about Hogan and Andre the Giant. They could talk about Daniel Bryan and The Undertaker. Now, our number 2 works on many levels. It's a guy that we know that the machine is behind. It's someone that I think has everything you need to be a top superstar in the business. And he also has a working storyline going already with The Undertaker, and that is Roman Reigns. We know that last year The Undertaker was taken out by the Shield. There's our working storyline. He comes back in. He wants to go after the Shield. The muscle of the Shield is Roman Reigns. Now, again, like I said with Daniel Bryan, like I said with some of these other guys, we've seen them go and we've seen them have Roman Reigns dominated Survivor Series. We've seen him dominate in the Royal Rumble. We know that he is a guy that they're putting their money behind, and he's going to go and become one of the guys coming up very, very soon. I think this could be a jolt that takes us from Roman Reigns, member of S.H.I.E.L.D., that puts on awesome matches, that has great feats of strength, to Roman Reigns, world champion, face of the company. It is not a far stretch of the imagination. I really think he's a guy, not only that I think the company could get behind, the fans ourselves could get behind. I think he is a guy that has that it factor that a lot of these guys on this list have. But I think he is the perfect example. If you took all the ingredients and mixed them up into one, you'd have Roman Reigns would be the opponent for The Undertaker. Now, the only thing I would worry about is, does Roman Reigns work a little bit of a too stiff a match for The Undertaker? However, we've seen him handle stiff matches in the past. Now, before we get into our number 1, we're going to we do a little thing. If you've seen our top 10s before, we call it the best of the rest. And basically, these are the guys that just barely missed the list for whatever reason. First off, Seth Rollins. We already mentioned his other 2 teammates in the Shield. Rollins as well. I think out of the 3 of the Shield, not that he couldn't be just as big a star as the other 2. Again, with the problems I said with Ambrose, I think Rollins' style doesn't match up well with The Undertaker, and I think that's the reason why he's down here and didn't actually make the list. Also, Cody Rhodes, a guy who's been seemingly on the cusp of the upper middle card, needs that little jolt to get him into the higher card, up into the main event status. Wouldn't guess The Undertaker would do that for anybody. Honestly, don't see it. I think that Cody Rhodes is, from now on, I believe Cody's going to be a face more than a heel. I think he works out way better as a face, and unfortunately, I don't think face Cody has any business wrestling The Undertaker. Just my opinion. Now, our next two guys I want to mention in the Best of the Rest are not on the list because they don't work with the WWE. But if they did, they could be booked as legitimate threats. First is Samoa Joe. A guy who could come in, has all the style and charisma of a guy like Roman Reigns, plus the size and stature and the build and the respect of the internet wrestling community, and all wrestling fans all over love Samoa Joe. He could be a guy that very quickly could be positioned in a place where he could be a guy challenging and possibly beating the Streak. Last but not least, probably the best heel in the wrestling business over the last few years, and that's Kevin Steen. The thing that takes him from our list is we know he's not a quintessential WWE style wrestler, either body-wise or stylistic-wise. However, he's got that it factor, and he's got that charisma that would work so well with The Undertaker that I had to put him on this list because I would just love as a fan to see Kevin Steen versus The Undertaker. Now, again, before we go into our number one, if you agree with our list, if you think we put someone up too high, put someone down too low, left someone off altogether, let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put it down where? Down there in the comments. We always love your feedback. We enjoy it. Sometimes we legitimately forget people. It just happens. I mean, there are so many wrestlers that go through your brain that you don't think of all of them. So let us know what you think. Hit us up with your feedback, and we're going to roll right into our number one. The number one person that's a threat to the Streak, nobody. That's right. I said nobody. I don't think that they should ever take the Streak away from The Undertaker. I think it's his calling card. I think he doesn't need a Streak to be the legend he is. However, they're already this far down this road. You got to keep rolling with it. I mean, you got to keep him with the Streak. Undertaker needs to have the undefeated streak. It's part of the lore of The Undertaker now. It's so ingrained with Wrestlemania. It's so ingrained with who The Undertaker is that it would be a shame for them to take it. And just as much as it could do for any of the guys' careers that I've mentioned on here, I don't think it would hurt The Undertaker's career so much. I just think out of the respect for The Undertaker, you leave it undefeated. Let him retire at an undefeated streak at WrestleMania. His loyalty to the WWE alone deserves that. But I think there's not a person in the world that I think it would do more harm putting it on any one of these guys to what the streak was and to what it meant to WrestleMania than it would do good for any of these guys. I know it would put guys into the stratosphere. I understand that. But the aura of The Undertaker and the undefeated streak at WrestleMania needs to be something that 50 years down the line, WrestleMania 80, my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, whatever it may be, your children, grandchildren, whatever, when they're getting together and they're talking about all the great WrestleManias in history and all the great things that have happened, you know, Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant, the ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair, Undertaker, undefeated at WrestleMania. It needs to stay there forever. It's what's meant to be, it's what should be, and it's what always should end out there. He should retire with it undefeated. But basically, that's all I have to say about this list. My name is George Coles, and this has been another Heel Heat Top 10.